students. Today in class we will discuss about the remaining part of the poem Autumn by John Clay. Okay, so far we have seen that in the first part the poet stays indoor and he describes about the effect of the wind on the casement and the leaves. Okay, now in the next part we will see that the poet steps outside and using many images he describes the English countryside. Okay, so let's come to the poem. I love to see the shaking twig dance till the shut of eve. Now what does the poet love to see? The poet loves to see the shaking twig. Now what is a twig? Twig is a small branch. You can see here it's written. So it's a small branch. So what is the branch doing? The poet feels that the branch is dancing till evening comes to an end. The expression shut of eve means the closing of evening. Okay. Now is it that the twig stops dancing as soon as evening ends? No, it's not the case. What actually happens is that with the fading light, the poet fails to see the twig after sundown. Okay, so he feels that the twig stops dancing as soon as evening comes to an end. Right? The sparrow on the cottage roof, whose chirp would make believe that spring was just now flirting by in summer's lap with flowers to light. So the poet says that the sparrow is sitting on the cottage roof. Now, roof is the jutting external part of a building. Okay. The sparrow is sitting on the cottage roof and what is it doing? It is chirping. Chirping means the sound made by the bird. Okay. And this bird's chirp makes the poet believe that spring was flirting by. Now what does the expression flirting mean? Flirting means being playful. Okay. So spring is being playful and we find that the poet here uses personification when he talks about the season spring. He personifies the season spring as a young country girl who is being playful and she wants to lie down in summer's lap, who again has been personified as a young girl again. And what is she doing? She is lying down with many flowers on her lap. Okay, and spring wants to lie down on her lap too. So এখানে আমাদের একটা জিনিস মনে রাখতে হবে, আমরা এখানে সিজনাল সাইকেলটার কথা যদি মাথায় রাখি তাহলে স্প্রিং, সামার, উইন্টার and after that we have spring followed by winter. Okay, so what happens? The poet gives some amount of credit to the season autumn and he feels that just like spring and summer in the English countryside, autumn too has a beauty of her own. Okay, so we find a bird chirping in autumn season, right? Next he says, I love to see the cottage smoke curl upwards through the naked trees. So what does the poet see? The poet sees that smoke from the cottage is curling upwards. Okay, now this is a very homely image, we can say that, because this gives us a very clean picture of an English countryside. Right? So the poet feels that the trees are all naked. Now why so? Because we have to remember he's talking about the autumn season and all the leaves have fallen down. Okay, so the poet says that he can see the smoke curling upwards through the naked trees. Then what does he say? The pigeons nestle round the court. Now court means cottage. On dull November days like this. Now what are the pigeons doing? Pigeons, you know, they are birds. They are nestled. Nestled means cuddled or sat comfortably. So the pigeons, they feel very secure, they feel very comfortable. So they are sitting on the cottage and what are they doing? They are cuddling against one another. And November days have been described as dull. Why so? Because we have very faint sun rays during this time. ঠিক আছে, সূর্যের আলো খুব কম থাকে, তাই জন্য নভেম্বর ডেজগুলোকে ডাল বলা হয়েছে, রাইট? নেক্সট what does he say? The cock upon the dunghill crowing. So what is the cock doing? Cock is crowing. Crowing is a sound made by a cock and it is sitting on the dunghill. What is the dunghill? It is a small hill created by deposition of dung. Okay, so the cock is sitting there and it is crowing. The mill sails on the heath a going. Now this is something very interesting. mill is a small factory. Okay, the mill has been created on the heath. Now what is the heath? Heath is an unproductive land, a land which is not fertile, where we cannot grow crops. Okay, so we can say the mill has been set up here so as not to waste fertile land, right? So the poet feels that the mills are like boats, okay, and as if they are sailing on the heath. Next he says, the feather from the raven's breast falls on the stubble leaf. Now what is a raven? A raven is a large crow, okay, so it's a large crow, and the feather from its breast, it falls on the stubble leaf. Now we have to understand what we mean by stubble leaf. After we cut the crops, we find a small portion of the crops remains on the ground, right? These are called stubble. And what is leaf? Leaf is nothing but a grassland. So stubble is the short lower part of the stem of the crops, and by the word leaf we mean the grass covered land. Okay, so the poet feels that from the raven's breast the feathers fall on the stubble leaf, and he also has another picture for us. He says the acorns near the old crow's nest fall pattering down the tree. Now what are acorns? Acorns are the nuts of the oak tree. Okay, oak gache je ফল তাকে acorn বলা হয়, and they are falling near the old crow's nest. This is again very interesting. Old crow কথাটা যখন কবি ব্যবহার করেছেন, যেন মনে হচ্ছে উনি জায়গাটাকে খুব ভালো করে চেনেন। ক্রোটা ওল্ড, এটা যেন উনি বোঝাতে চাইছেন আমাদের, খুব পরিচিত যেন ওনার। Fall pattering down the tree. So what happened to the acorns? They fall pattering down the tree. The word pattering is actually an onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia মানে a word which denotes a sound, একটা sound বোঝায়। So the sound created by the falling acorns has been used by the poet, and they fall pattering down the tree. Where do they fall? Near the old crow's nest, right? The grunting pigs that wait for all scramble and hurry where they fall. So the grunting pigs, pigs are ki korche? They are grunting. This is again the sound made by pigs, and we all know pigs are supposed to be very greedy animals. So as soon as the acorns fall on the ground, they hurry up to collect them, right? Now here the poet has used the word scramble. What does it mean? Scramble means to move quickly on hands and feet. Okay, hamagori diye hata is scramble. Okay, so the pigs, they scramble very quickly with the desire to collect the acorns. So throughout the poem we find the poet has given us word pictures, and through these he has created a very interesting picture of the English countryside. Okay, thank you.